What is a digital identity? How can you control and protect your identity on the web? You will find some answers to these questions in this video. A digital identity is all the information that circulates freely on the web and that relates to a particular person. For example, your profiles and the data included in them may give a lot of information about you. This is Jean, a student who wants to discover the extent of his presence on the web and the image that he projects. To do this, he is searching for information associated with his name using a number of people search engines available in the social media. To find results relating specifically to just one person, these sites recommend refining the search by putting quotation marks around the first and last names of the person in the search box. This lets you search for this exact group of words. If the person's name is quite common, as in this case, Jean Tremblay, the search engine will find several profiles and a lot of information about many Jean Tremblays. Jean just keeps the information that relates to him. After compiling all this information, Jean is surprised to see that all of the data associated with his name reveal a lot more about his life than he thought it would. For example, many of Jean's friends have publicly shared personal photos in which his name is tagged, and which are directly linked to various events that he would have preferred remain private. Jean's online activities and those of his family members and his friends on social networks leave plenty of trails. Jean also learns that data about him available in the public domain, such as his date of birth, his ID numbers communicated through unsecured emails, his address or that of his employer, could enable fraudsters to steal his identity in order to make credit requests in his name, to give just one example. Right now, Jean is not very proud to find this old photo tagged with his name in which he is clearly drunk. He'd rather have forgotten about that night. His ex-girlfriend still has it posted on her wall. He'll have to contact her personally to ask her to remove the photo. It is sometimes difficult, even next to impossible, to remove embarrassing or inaccurate information from the web if it is reposted on several sources. That is also part of the digital identity that John must learn to protect. But what exactly should he and you do? First, it is possible to control your digital identity as it is constructed every day in your online activities under your own name or even in the form of your avatar when you play your favorite online game. To protect your digital identity online, here are a few recommendations. Above all, keep private or restrict access to information over which you ought to have some control, such as private photos, your date of birth, or your telephone number, for example. It is important to make the distinction between public content and private content, and to control the distribution of this content. The first rule for protecting your digital identity against theft has to do with your passwords. They should remain confidential and be at least 8 characters long. Use a combination of numbers, lowercase letters, uppercase letters, and symbols when permitted. Do not use passwords that are very simple or easy to guess, such as a sequential series of numbers. If you have a lot of passwords, use one of the many secure applications that generate and save complex passwords. Then you just have to remember one password to access all the others. For security reasons, the main password for this type of application cannot be retrieved by email, as is usually possible with passwords for social networks and commercial websites. The second rule for protecting your digital identity against identity theft is to never send, by email or through insecure websites, sensitive information related to your access to public or financial services. This information includes your social insurance number, your driver's license number, your credit and debit card numbers, the number of your bank account, and your personal identity number. This information is highly sought after by online fraud artists who want to steal your identity. Become informed about the most common fraud and phishing scams by looking up these subjects on the Royal Canadian Mounted Police website. For example, you should know that banks cannot contact you by email to ask you to provide your personal information. Access to your personal accounts by other people is facilitated if you leave your sessions open permanently. Remember to log out of your sessions. Lock your screen if you are leaving your device. You wouldn't want your little brother to change your relationship status from in a relationship to single on your favorite social network platform. Never check the Remember Me box or the Memorize My Password box on a public device that is used by others. Set the privacy level of applications and online sharing tools. Remember that these settings are not infallible. Update them regularly to patch the security flaws of the different software you use. Finally, monitor the online information about yourself on a regular basis so you can better control your digital identity. Managing and protecting your identity online in an increasingly connected world is an essential skill that you need to develop. We invite you to learn more by watching the video on protecting your cyber reputation and that of others.